Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. We have got a bit of an astonishing story here. It's astonishing that Shona Robison has said what she said. It's also astonishing that the lack of political nous involved in what she's saying. And then finally, of course, to actually sit and publicly rip up an agreement signed by Humza Yousaf when you are only Shona Robison is a very brave thing to do. And I think you're only doing it because he's busy off chatting to Hamas. He wouldn't. You wouldn't be doing this if he was sitting in the room with you. Although he probably would, because he's not going to do anything about it anyway. He'll see what you've done and he'll go, yeah, okay, I ought to do something, but I'm not going to because I'm not much of a leader. But what she's effectively done is destroyed the Verity House Agreement. This is the agreement between the SNP government and the local authorities, COSLA, effectively, through those. It was signed with great aplomb by Humza Yousaf. Oh, look, we're having this new kind of agreement that we're going to work together hand in hand, and we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that, and blah, 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 blah. And it's all proven to be a load of rubbish, because now Shona Robison, in a fit of pique, of childish irksomeness, has basically picked up the ball and she's going home because councils are ignoring her. Let's take a look. So, Shona Robison threatens local authorities with more budget misery if they increase council tax. Now, she's given them a bone. She's thrown them a tiny little bit of money. Oh, have a bit of money. I've got 143 million, whatever it is, for all the councils across Scotland. It's not nowhere near enough. But you've got to freeze your budgets. And they're going, well, we can't afford to. We can't. We just literally can't. And 3 have already said, well, look, if you're going to do that, we're going to push our budget up a bit. As well. So we'll take your money, but then we've got to put it up a bit more in order to still maintain the services. And she said, if you put it up more, you're getting nothing. Well, in that case, they'll just go, well, that's fine. We'll just assume you're giving us nothing. I'll just put it up the full 10% or something like that, which will make the problem look even worse for the SNP. This is what I mean about having a lack of nous. The inability to see that she's got an empty threat on her hands. But only by threatening it, unless she's willing to follow through, she'll look stupid and weak. Well, she can't help looking stupid, I know, but she'll look weak. But if she doesn't follow, that's if she doesn't follow through. If she does follow through, she looks petty, she looks miserable, and she looks like she's punishing the people who dare to question her, because she does not have the authority to stop them from raising council tax. And all that she's doing is highlighting the fact that she doesn't have that authority. It's a completely stupid thing to do. And then, on top of that as well, it is the effective destruction of the Verity House Agreement that her boss signed with the leader of COSLA. So all the local authorities now just look at the SNP and say, right, well, that was a meaningless thing to do. We can no longer trust anything you say, and we'll actually start working against you for our own benefit rather than trying to work with you for everyone's benefit. Because we will get no support from you, so we have to assume that now. And the Verity House Agreement is dead in the water. Well done. With one small act perpetrated by an incredibly stupid woman who fails to understand the effectiveness of what she's doing, she destroys everything. I've never seen such an act of self-immolation by a politician for many a long year. This woman is effectively destroying everything because she's too stupid to understand what she's doing. Quite literally. I joke, I say... I call her 86. I say she's got an IQ of 86. I quite literally mean it. She is... I don't even know if she's got an IQ that high. Surely, such a woman should not be allowed anywhere near power. It's quite clear. She is an absolute moron. But anyway, the SNP's government finance secretary said she will withhold subsidy cash if councils go rogue and increase tax to plug budget holes. Well, all that means is they'll just go, right, fine, we were going to only put it up 3%, just need that little rise on top of the subsidy, we'll just go bang, put it up the full amount, and then sod ya. So, that's exactly what's going to happen now. This is what Humza Yousaf has got to come back to. He's got to come back to see everything go into pot, and he's going to go, I left her in charge. I went away for 3 days. I went to talk to the tourists, of Hamas in Qatar, and I come back, and this is what's happened. But he won't fire her, of course, because old Kendall doesn't have the balls to fire her. Anyway, Shona Robison has issued a threat to Scotland's local authorities. She's now going to war with the local authorities in Scotland. Genius woman, isn't she? Telling them she will withhold subsidy cash if they hike council tax. And 3 have already said they're going to. The Scottish Government has set aside $147 million to fund a council tax freeze. Nowhere even close to near enough. $1 billion would be needed. It was announced by Humza Yousaf at the SNP conference last year, despite nobody being aware of it, because he was so desperate and sad when he looked at his desperately sad and empty speech and came up with a brilliant idea off the top of his head. It's the sort of idea you can only have when you are also a moron. It's unfunded, it's undiscussed, there was no agreement. You have this COSLA agreement which you just thrown under the bus. You don't know the ramifications, you don't know the consequences, but you've got to have a speech and you've got to say something nice. So ping. Well, it's great. If you're someone in a massive, great big house, you're thinking, great, going to save a fortune. Unbelievable, isn't it? Anyway, hard-pressed councils say that it is not nearly enough to plug the holes in the budgets, but the Nats insist it covers a 5% increase, and it doesn't. Some local authorities have said they could increase the levy to support public services regardless. But the Finance Secretary said she would not hand over much needed cash if that happened. I think then there'd be a court case. I think immediately she failed to do that, that'd be in court. And let's face it, they're going to lose. The SNP always lose. Her comments mean that the Verity House Agreement between local government and the Scottish Executive has been destroyed, according to one local council leader. Councillor Stephen McCabe, the Labour leader of Inverclyde Council, told BBC Scotland's Good Morning Scotland show, I think it is now absolutely dead in the water. I've never known the relations between local government and the Scottish Government to be so low. I don't know where we go from here, to be perfectly honest. Put your council tax up. Show them. Just put it up and destroy them. Because he's going to come back and see that his big plan, council tax freeze, is completely ignored, which shows and highlights how powerless he is, how lacking of authority he is. Shona Robison will be the one getting the blame for it because she's got this big mouth, massive ego and zero talent and intelligence. So she'll end up carrying the can for it. The whole party will then disintegrate in a blame of who done what to whom. There'll be calls then for Humza Yousaf to go because unless he fires Shona Robison, which he won't because he pointed her, then it'll be seen as destructive and toxic to the party. So that's when the murmurs become shouts and he loses his job and everybody gets in on this act. And it will be spectacular. It is an own goal of such massive proportions. And the thing is, she's done this simply and literally the only reason is because she is so absolutely mind-bogglingly stupid. I cannot think down to that level. Ms Robison told the same programme, we have provided nowhere near enough with $147 million to councils to fund a council tax freeze equivalent to 5%, which it isn't, as we've said. To help households when the cost of living crisis is still there. It doesn't, because it means next year there's a double rise, because they have to cover the rise that would have been for this year plus the rise for next year. So next year it's going to be a double rise, so it won't help anyone. And it is an area where people can have certainty over the bills that are not going to rise. But they will next year. Massively. Shona Robison is a moron. Anyway, she said, we've also provided $145 million to maintain teacher numbers. And of course, we know that close to poverty-related attainment gap and to close the poverty attainment gap and improve education. If you want to improve education, surely hiring teachers is a priority. And if you really want to hire teachers, you shouldn't be taxing them out of the job. And so all these teachers who are good, well, I can teach. I'll go teach in England. I'll earn a lot more because I'm not going to get taxed, and the teaching conditions are better because obviously the levels of, so we say, physical problems in schools in Scotland is actually higher. It's the highest of anywhere in Britain. So if you're a teacher, you think, I know, I'll go England. Less likely to get attacked and going to take home more money. Excellent. Morons. Anyway, she says, we believe these elements of funding are important, but ultimately it's for the councils to decide. Said, but they can't have the money for those purposes if they decide to do otherwise. Don't threaten unless you are 100% sure that you are going to follow through on that threat. Because if you threaten and don't follow through, then you are weak, you're finished, you're politically dead in the water, you're a dead duck. So the only way she can do it now is to go to those three councils and say, right, you're getting nothing, and let them just put the council tax up as much as they want. What kind of message does that send? It sends the message that your boss is powerless. It's not hard, is it? It's not me. It's not me. It's not you. We get this, surely. We get this. If you undermine your boss, he's got to fire you. She's now undermining Humza Yousaf. She's highlighting how powerless and stupid Humza Yousaf is by her own powerless stupidity, but nonetheless. So unless Humza Yousaf comes back from the Hamas meetings and fires Shona Robison, he is weak, he is finished. He is not a leader. Surely even he must see that now. But I bet he doesn't, because he's just as thick as her. Although, it's a hard push, isn't it? I don't know, but nobody's as thick as her. But he ain't far off. Anyway, her comments came as councils around the country are poised to set budgets. Last week, Cosler agreed the council tax freeze should be on a voluntary basis. And that the £147 million earmarked by the Scottish Government for the purpose should be distributed to all councils with the flexibility to raise council tax by up to 5%. Ms Robison insisted the budget settlements for councils was fair. It isn't. In the context of what she described as a real terms cuts in Scottish Government budget from the UK Government. It's not. It's actually a real terms increase. But what they're not counting is all the extra money that they got earlier in the year. They're looking at the Barnett consequentials this year and saying, oh, it's a real terms cut because it didn't go up by the 10% that the inflation was at on the Barnett consequentials. But when you add in the earlier monies, yes, it was. She lies, but then I'm not too sure if she's actually lying here or just doesn't know how to count. It's 50-50 on that one, isn't it? Anyway, she said, blah, 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 and she gave some local rubbish. She said she made some excuses, but it's all rubbish. Because, you know. So there she is, a woman who, when Humza comes back, is either fired or, if she isn't, Humza's finished. Because she has just destroyed what he signed, the agreement he signed, and she is the one responsible. What a wonderful woman. Because if those councils do put their tax rates up, Humza's seen as weak and useless. It's a win, isn't it? It's a wonderful, wonderful win. Let's enjoy the day. I'm finishing coming up. So it's a race, isn't it? Who's going to go first? Will Humza go first or will Robison go? Will he fire her or will he attempt to keep her? If he keeps her, he's finished. It's a very, very good position for us to be in. We're wondering now who will go first. And surely even she must see now that she's gone too far. She's opened her big mouth. She's caused so much problems that Humza really has no option. He's got to fire her. And if he doesn't, he's done. Oh, joyous day. She could always resign. She could say, you know what, this job is beyond me. But then if she was selling shoes, she'd say that, wouldn't she? Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Definitely hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well. And I will speak to you later. Bye.